Imagine this. What if every single one of us is shaped and perhaps even doomed by a single invisible trait, a fatal flaw that leads to our greatest downfall? Would you recognize yours? Across eras, authors must extensively adapt to notable storytelling to illustrate the intertwined dynamic between literature and shifting values to sustain the resonance in contemporary discourse. Let's turn to two storytellers who expose the deepest truths about human nature, William Shakespeare and David Nichols. In Much Ado About Nothing, 1589, Shakespeare draws on Aristotle's concept of hamartia, the tragic flaw filtered through Elizabethan desire for honor to gain reputation. Over 400 years later, in 2005, David Nichols undoubtedly reimagined these same flaws, insecurity and pride, in Shakespeare Retold, adapting form, setting, context, and language to remain relevant through a contemporary lens. Once upon a time, there was a man adored by all but trusting none. His fatal flaw? Insecurity disguised as pride. In Much Ado, that man is Claudio. A man who wants a hero as he strives to become a hero. Insecure, status-obsessed, and emotionally immature, he mistakes pride for masculinity and idealizes honor without earning it. Shakespeare employs antithesis where he suspects betrayal. It is certain so, the prince woos for himself. Friendship is constant in all other things, save in the office and the affairs of love. His impulsive and declarative tone when comparing Constant to affairs of love exposes Claudio's distorted perception of trust as he relies on appearances over loyalty, emotions over evidence. Shakespeare's critique of unchecked insecurity that fuels a self-fulfilling prophecy eventually drives individuals towards their ruin. The theatrical form, a play staged before a live audience, amplifies these emotional extremes. Claudio's downward spiral continues in Act 5, Scene 3. At Hero's tomb, he mourns, done to death by slanderous tongues, was the hero that he lies. Through soliloquies and heightened verse, the passive voice of done to death deflects blame. His grief is performative, not transformative. In an era where male honor was paramount, mourning became a means to restore reputation, not seek redemption. Shakespeare's stage format enables the audience to grapple with the social performance of masculinity. We are not just spectators, we become complicit in the spectacle of price. Shakespeare leaves us questioning, is this really justice? In Shakespeare Retold, Nichols retains Claudio's flaws but reimagined him as Claude and used Anchor, a modern figure who comprehensively mirrors contemporary values of performance and public image. Nichols characterizes Claude's first impression as mundane.
How come you just know?
What?
The weather.
Through the medium of film, it is delivered in close-up, which visually captures hesitation beneath public bravado. Where Shakespeare's Claudio spoke in iambic rhythm and poetry, Claude stumbled in awkward realism. Through modern cinematic tools, camera angles capturing body language that the Elizabethan era was unable to, the camera becomes the audience's window into his emotional instability, engaging them more viscerally than live theaters. After Claude humiliates her, Claude's apology is stunted.
Maybe you would think about carrying on where we left off?
The fragmented dialogue and downcast tone highlight his emotional immaturity. In a more emotionally literate age, this vulnerability is less heroic and more pitiful. Through the intimacy of screen language, Nichols invites audiences to not only witness but feel the discomfort of human weaknesses. Still, some elements remain unchanged. The flaw, pride wrapped in insecurity doesn't change, but each era's approach on confrontation and excuse change. Shakespeare's playwright form masks insecurity with grandeur and leaning into spectacle and rhetoric, while Nichols immensely retools the story with cinematic intimacy to resonate with contemporary audiences. Now, let's look at Leonardo and his hubris. Which would you choose? The red pill to defy truth or the blue pill to conquer your flaws? If you chose red, welcome to Shakespeare's Leonardo world. Blue, welcome to Nichols. In the original, written during a time when virtue was political and a daughter's purity was transactional, when hero is accused of infidelity, Leonardo doesn't hesitate. He erupts. Oh, she is fallen into a pit of ink that the wide sea hath drops too few to wash her clean again. Shakespeare's stage adds dramatic weight. His sweeping biblical language breaks iambic rhythm. Words like ink and sea evoke permanent stains. Not on hero, but on him. My soul doth tell me hero is belied, and that sure Claudio knows for Charles the Prince and all of them that thus dishonor her. There it is again, the grand language, the repetition of so Charles reveals not fatherly tenderness but vengeance. Shakespeare's live hyperverbal form magnifies Leonato's performative grief. He critiques a culture where men weaponize emotion to reclaim status. His soul speaks now, but earlier it was his pride. His urgency, so shall Claudio know, aims to fix his own defeated reputation after the irreparable damage his earlier pride helped cause. But does the 21st century father resemble change? You may ask. David Nicole Shakespeare retold Leonato's artist.
Besides, you never know when you might need your room back.
Nichols employs irony and understated humor to conceal Leonato's emotional reluctance to let go of Hero, reflecting a deep, affectionate bond. Reinforced through naturalistic lighting and a soft domestic setting, Nichols invites the audience to sympathize with quiet grief of parental separation. Further, the modern portrayal contrasts sharply with Elizabethan values, where daughters were mainly transactional tools for social advancement and family reputation. Same name, same daughter, same portrayal, yet when Claude shames Hero, Leonato's response is starkly different. He cries, blunt, brutal, British. Delivered in medium close-up, Pillar carries comedic weight, but the tone is laced with disappointment and heartbreak condensed into one punch of syllables. The film allows one to feel and see Leonato's pain and the complexity of irony to simmer in one look. Nichols undoubtedly transforms a patriarch to a modern father who values empathy over decorum. It's not just an adaptation, it's a cultural evolution. His reaction reflects 21st century values of emotional honesty, paternal protection and justice, not pride. Nichols urges audiences to reconsider what strength in men really looks like and how far we've come from stoicism of the past. Still, how much truly changed? Again, the flaws remain, pride, but each storyteller frames it differently, whether through Renaissance verse or modern cinema. That's the power of adaptation of fixed flaws, shifting perspectives, and the dynamic relationship of storytelling that powerfully prompts authors' fluidity in adapting storytelling. Adaptation doesn't replace the past, it reanimates it. It bridges across centuries, reshaping what must evolve while preserving what must endure. Narratives aren't relics, they breathe with evolving culture. Forms and values shift, but human flaws like insecurity and hubris that storytellers have emphasized remain constant. Storytellers are alchemists of time, distilling the spirit of their age into words that shimmer with timeless truth. So let me ask again, have you figured out your flaws yet?